Merry meet. So this is going to be a somewhat different video from what I usually do, and because it's more of a social issue than about the occult or fantasy books or any of the other things. And this is going to be how Anita Sarkeesian, who likes to think that she represents all women, how she does not represent me. And the reason I'm making this video is that I was watching one of Thunderfoot's videos last night, and he urged women to stand up and speak up against Anita Sarkeesian, because it sort of means more when she sort of just doesn't take, even every time a man speaks up against her, it's just, oh, it's patriarchy. But the more women that stand up and say, no, this woman doesn't speak for me. I mean, I have no illusions. I have a tiny little channel that doesn't really mean anything. But the more women that actually take a stance, the better. So I'm doing my part. So here's the thing. First, let me start by saying I do not support those people that threaten Sarkeesian's life, or that basically treat her like shit. That's not okay. And it's a sad thing that as at criticizing her, you sort of have to specify specify that. And yeah, I don't support online bullying of anyone for any reason. However, her address at the UN sort of pissed me off. My problem with Anita Sarkeesian, or one of the problems, is that, and let me try to get to the biggest issue I have first. Because her brand of feminism, that's one thing, I disagree with that, but that's one thing. However, what she urged the UN to do is basically banning anyone from criticizing anyone. And that's just insanity. Basically, if she had gotten her, well, this simple video here, and you will find that I'm not gonna call her names, I don't say anything threatening about her, and I would usually consider myself to be a fairly rational and polite individual, this video would be banned and would cost me my account and quite possibly land me in jail by her standards, because, oh, it's harassment. Because if you look at the video about where she and Zoe Quinn addresses the UN, she wants them to ban any criticism. Because, as she says, the daily grind of people calling her a liar and people disagreeing with her, that's not harassment. Now, I'm going to give Sarkeesian the benefit of the doubt and assume this isn't some sort of agenda that's just insane, but rather that she has been so traumatized by her experiences with online bullying that she sort of just lashes out uncontrollably. Now, here's a problem I have with the UN then, not necessarily with her that is listening to her. It's the same problem as in Norway some years ago. There was this tragic case where you had an animal hoarder who had a pack of dogs in her backyard. And this little, I think it was 8 years old schoolboy was running past her yard, and the dogs snapped because there was just a pack and they were not really socialized or anything, and they run after the kid and kill him. It's horrible. But anyway, the father of that kid, understandably quite traumatized, he went into this rampage about banning the keeping of dogs, and the problem here isn't him as much, because it's completely understandable. He has had a terrible experience with dogs. It's completely understandable that he hates big dogs. The problem is when then the politicians listen to him, instead of just treating him as somebody who deserves sympathy, but that might not be that objective on the issue. And here, Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn are not objective on the issue. At least if you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So basically, and you might think I'm making this up, that it can't be that bad, because a lot of people have, especially people on the left, and I mean, hell, well, I am center right by Norwegian standards, by American standards, I'm a bleeding heart liberal. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty far on the left by American standards. But yeah, people on the left tend to be very brainwashed by this woman and have this, oh, but she's speaking for women's rights and she's speaking for women. No, actually listen to what she's saying. And in that thing, yes, she advocates a lot of bannings and laws and such that will affect people that actually harass people. She also wants to ban people that, for example, people like me that makes this video that criticize what she's saying. By her standards, this video would be illegal and punishable by fines or jail. Don't take my word for it. Just Google it, find the video where she and Zoe Quinn are addressing the UN and watch it. She is advocating a complete deletion of the freedom of speech. Also, people won't be offended online. And that is horrible. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I don't doubt that she's getting a lot of people, that she's getting threats and she's getting harassment and so on and so forth. But there are already laws in place. The problem is the handling of those laws. We don't need new laws. What we need are better ways to deal with them so that they can actually be applied. Here's the thing, we already have laws against death threats, for example. Most nations, you are not allowed to threaten somebody on their lives. Nor are you allowed to directly harass somebody. However, speaking a criticism about somebody is not harassing them. Let me try to illustrate the difference here. Currently, our Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, I like her on some issues, but not on other issues. One of her issues is that she has reduced the benefits for people on disability pension. And her reasoning is not that sound. And here's the thing, here's the difference between criticism and harassment. Let's say I make a video and I say, you know what, this new benefit law that Solberg has made, it's horrible. It shows that she has a complete lack of understanding of the issues. And lucky her, probably none of her family members have ever needed these kinds of benefits. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that if you just beat somebody who is having some sort of physical or mental illness hard enough, they will suddenly get up and be able to work. Or I could go on because this video isn't about that, but yes, I can go. Then I'm attacking her issues. This is not harassing her. It is attacking her opinions. It's definitely not harassing her. Let's go a bit further. Let's say, you know what? I think this woman is insane. She has to be stupid to make these, to approve these kinds of laws and suggest them. It shows that she's completely unable to lead the nation. She is an idiot. This still is not harassment. It's impolite, but it's not harassment. Now, this is what harassment would be. If I were to send Solberg a lot of mail saying, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're useless, that would be harassment. If I sent her threats, that would be threatening and harassment. Saying something against her opinions or even basically how she's doing things is not harassment. So yeah, I urge people to actually, those that are fans of Sarkeesian, to actually see what she's saying. Because some of the things that she's saying, for example, with UN, is insane. And if you in any way, shape, or form value your right to free speech, then you need to speak up. Because no, she is not just advocating that we should have laws against online bullying. That would be fine, by all means. She is advocating banning all things that could be insulting. That this includes this video here. And I mean, like for example, she has been going completely berserk on both Thunderfoot and Mr. Ashton. Now, I have watched quite a few of their videos. They have never said anything threatening to Anita Sarkeesian. Yes, they've called her a liar. They have shown a lot of the things that where she has lied. They have done, they have definitely critical of her. They've never threatened her. They have never written to her and just called her names, doing things like that. It's always been on her opinions and what she's doing. Still, she says that they are harassing her because imagine if somebody makes a video that's critical, then their fans or somebody likes them could possibly go onto her Twitter and say something threatening to her. That's insane. Here's the thing. If you're that afraid of somebody saying something threatening to you, then you can't put your head up because people are going to say something threatening to you or something rude or something mean. I mean, even my tiny little YouTube channel, I get trolls all the time. And yes, I've been threatened. And I mean, there's so many immature people out there that as soon as they see something they don't like, or sometimes they don't even need to see something they don't like, something could just be that they have a bad day and want to step on someone, they will be rude, they will be idiots. But that doesn't mean that you should take away the one thing that makes the internet truly great, the freedom of speech. So on that topic, Anita Sarkeesian definitely doesn't speak for me. Now, let's discuss her brand of feminism, because when you're addressing Anita Sarkeesian and are critical of her, for people then say, oh no, you're not for women having equal rights. No, that's not it. Here's the thing. Anita Sarkeesian, there's a lot of brands of feminism. Now, I don't consider myself a feminist because there's so many of these brands that are that only focuses on women and then bettering the situation for women, and doesn't care about equality. Yes. There are brands of feminism that do focus on equality and do focus on men and women having equal rights, but there's so many that only focuses on women. However, here's and I don't have time to address all the issues I have with Sarkeesian, but let's discuss some of the things that has put me the most off her. For example, she has a video where she and some other women are discussing how they got into feminism. And she says that, well, when she started the university, she was for equal rights and so on and so forth, but she felt that, well, the battle had for the most part been won, but then some feminists taught her how she's a victim. That's basically exactly what she's saying. That to me is stupidity. Because yes, are the battle completely won? Is there completely equal rights for men and women? No, not really. Or rights in the form of the law, well, in most Western countries, yeah. But how men and women are treated? No. For example, a case, a matter that's very near and dear to me, because nature did not bless me with particularly good looks. A lot of people find me ugly, and are all too happy to say it. However, if I had been a man, I would I would not have been treated as badly about that as I am when I'm a woman. I mean, men get judged on their appearance as well, but it's still that women sort of, a lot of people feel that no, for women, their appearance is their number one quality. So a woman such as me that are not beautiful are worthless. I meet that kind of discrimination quite often. However, when it comes to the really important issues, such as the right to equal pay for equal work, that's pretty much been one. Yes, there are still lingering issues, such as, for example, that careers that are typically where they're typically most women, such as, for example, nurses and so on and so forth, tend to be paid less than typically male professions. However, you can't just sit there and scream it's patriarchy, because it's a complicated issue. And some of these issues I also have to do with we are a gender species. There are differences between men and women. Of course, there are individual differences as well, but on statistically speaking, women tend to be less demanding than men. There's a lot of these things, and yes, there's more to do when it comes to equality, but to have this eternal victimhood attitude, it doesn't empower anyone. And I mean, if Anita Sarkeesian wanted to address women's issues, she should be speaking about things like so many Republicans trying to close down Planned Parenthood. That's a woman's issue. These things, and so this idea about victimhood, it doesn't work that way. Are there still discrimination of women? Yes. There are still discrimination of women. But is it so much that most women in the West is victims? No. Another issue I have a problem with her is the tendency to, for example, advocate things like, if you have a university or some sort of speeching thing, forgetting the English word here, but if you don't have enough women to hold a speech, then men shouldn't be allowed to do so either, because women should speak first, and if there aren't enough women to speak, then men shouldn't be allowed to speak. That's stupid. I hate those quota arrangements, because it doesn't work. This is why it doesn't work. All sorts of these kinds of quota arrangements just make that women that actually make it, they just look down on and say, no, but well, she's probably on a quota and thing. And besides, it's unfair. I don't believe that you address injustice by adding more injustice. Now, the third thing that, and I mean, I could go on all day, but the third thing that really annoys me about Anita Sarkeesian's brand of feminism is this idea that it's all done in some sort of mean-spirited, planned way. Now, for example, when she speaks about computer games, it's this, there's more male protagonists because patriarchy want to oppress women. No, there are more males in certain kinds of computer games because the companies want to earn money. If it was more profitable to have female protagonists, it would be female protagonists. Yes, but here's the thing. There are just as many female gamers as there are male gamers, actually. But statistically speaking, again, women tend to play other computer games, meaning that, for example, in first-person shooters and these kinds of action games, there's a lot more males playing them. Therefore, the men are the target demographic. And for whatever reason, they tend to prefer male protagonists. Now, if you look at titles coming out, there are more and more and more female protagonists, and that increases as the number of female gamers that play these games increases. There are no hidden patriarchal agenda to suppress women with computer games. It's this paranoia that she's spreading, that it's this patriarchy that's hiding behind every bush, ready to pounce. That is what I really, really, really have an issue with, because it's bullshit. Now, the fourth reason why Anita Sarkeesian does not represent me as a woman is that she's comparing threats or harassment and trolling online to physical violence. She's calling it cyber violence. The problem with doing this is that, and I've had this too. I mean, I made a post against bullying on my Facebook page. There were a few people that said, "Oh no, but these kinds of violence." No, it's not violence. It can be extremely hurtful. It can be damaging. It's rude. It's a bad thing to do. And yes, online bullying can ruin life, but it's not violence. The problem is when you sort of diffuse terms, is that it sort of then loses its meaning. It's like this. This is a skull. It's a skull. We agree it's a skull. Then this is a skull. This is a skull. This is a skull. If I just start basically have more and more and more things that I call a skull, then the word skull loses its meaning. When I say, oh, then I got myself this nice glass skull, and I am thinking, what's your meaning? And that takes away the severity of violence. Violence is when somebody do physical harm, or at least try to do physical harm to another person, or basically when there are a physical action involved. Saying, oh, you fucking whore, I'm gonna come and shoot you. That's not violence. It's a threat. It's rude. It's stupid. It's not violence. When somebody says, call you mean names on the internet, it is not violence. It is a thing that's a bad thing to do. It is not violence. It's the same as that stupid commercial that was for a while ago, where you have this woman that says, I get raped every day. Every time a man says something rude to a woman, I get raped. When my brother tries to sneak a peek at a woman's boobs, I get raped. Then that loses its meaning, and the actual very, very serious crime that rape is sort of becomes just meaningless. So I don't believe in calling everything violence and sort of having this drama over it. So before I speak too long here, the problem I have with Sarkeesian is that she is representing a pretty extreme branch of feminism. And I think a lot of women just see, oh, she is speaking for women, huzzah! Instead of actually looking at her videos and her posts and what she produces, and actually seeing what's there. Her opinions are extreme, and that hurts feminism, it hurts men, it hurts women, it hurts society in general. Because when you have people on the far, far, far fringes of feminism getting that much attention, that makes anyone who speaks for equal rights sort of be associated with them and just being put in the same category. And I don't want to be put in that category. Because I think that 99% of what Anita Sarkeesian says, I could not agree less with. Therefore, Anita Sarkeesian does not represent me. She doesn't represent women. She represents her extreme brand of feminism and nothing else. And I urge anyone to actually look at what this woman is saying and producing. And I urge women who looks at that and actually find that this doesn't represent them to actually speak up. Because right now, Anita Sarkeesian is becoming the face of the women's rights movement, of anything to do with feminism, with anything to do with equal rights. And that's just wrong. Because she's a crazy extremist. And it's time that people take a stand against that. And no, I am not advocating being mean to her. I'm not advocating sending her threatening messages. I'm advocating people making videos, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, whatever they can, and just saying, no, this woman does not speak for me. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and blessed be.